Welcome to This Explainer. I'm so incredibly glad you're here with us. Today, we're stepping into a space of reflection and growth. Think of it kind of like stepping right into a relationship counselor's office, but, from the absolute comfort of wherever you're sitting right now. We're going to explore a really profound and honestly, sometimes painful question. Why do genuinely good people sometimes lose great partners? You see, not every relationship ends because of some massive betrayal or constant dramatic fighting, and it's definitely not always because someone was just a bad person. Sometimes a completely well-meaning person loses the one they love simply because they didn't quite understand what their partner needed until it was just too late. So let's take a deep breath, keep an open mind, and figure out how we can cultivate our connections.
And that brings us to a huge, fundamental question. Is love really enough? We're jumping right into what our source material identifies as mistake number 1. So many good, well-intentioned people believe that just because they're faithful, because they work hard, and because they're deeply committed on paper, well, their relationship will just naturally thrive on autopilot. It is so easy to fall into that trap, right? Thinking, hey, I'm here, I provide, I'm loyal. Isn't that enough? And look, those qualities absolutely matter. They are the baseline. But the painful truth is that love alone, just the feeling of it or the status of being in love, is rarely enough to keep a relationship truly alive.
To understand what's actually required, we really have to rethink emotional connection. And I want you to hold on to a core metaphor throughout our whole explainer today. Your relationship is a garden. Think about it. If you plant a beautiful garden, admire it for a week, and then completely stop watering it, what happens? Well, it withers. Just like that garden needs daily watering to survive, your relationship requires consistent, daily emotional presence to actually thrive. A partner needs to feel heard, appreciated, and understood. Love isn't just about being in the same room, it's the active, daily practice of nurturing that bond.
Section 1. The myth of enough. Now, mistake number 4 ties right into this myth. It's the trap of taking things for granted versus offering consistent appreciation. When you assume your partner is just always going to be there, those little thank yous start to disappear. Compliments become incredibly rare, and those thoughtful, spontaneous gestures, they just fade away into nothingness. On the flip side, we have consistent appreciation. And listen, appreciation isn't a one-and-done deal. You don't just say, I appreciate you on your anniversary and check it off the list for the year. People desperately want to feel seen, not just expected to be part of the furniture in your life. Taking that connection for granted literally dries out the rich soil of your relationship.
Section 2. Escaping the routine trap.
Remember at the very beginning of your relationship, you planned thoughtful dates, you sent kind messages just because, and you actively looked forward to spending time together. You pursued each other with this amazing energy. But then, life gets busy. Priorities shift heavily toward work, paying bills, and just managing the daily household routine. Without even realizing it, you stop pursuing your partner. And that brings us to mistake number 2, when we stop dating our partner. It is so incredibly easy to shift from being passionate partners to essentially being polite roommates managing a shared logistics company. But listen closely here. Long-term love does not survive on memories alone. You cannot sustain a marriage in year 10 based entirely on how great the honeymoon was. Your garden grows through ongoing, deliberate effort. You've got to keep pursuing them, even when life is chaotic.
Section 3. Breaking the emotional silence. So there's a powerful warning we really need to heed here. Emotional distance slowly weakens the relationship. Unspoken issues rarely just disappear, they usually grow. And this highlights mistake number 3, which is not communicating your feelings. A lot of people, particularly men, are taught that staying strong means staying silent. But if your partner never knows what you're thinking, feeling, or struggling with, they're inevitably going to feel shut out. Couple that with mistake number 6, avoiding difficult conversations. Conflict is deeply uncomfortable for sure, so we often choose silence, just kind of silently hoping the weeds will pull themselves. But choosing silence to avoid conflict actually allows those small problems to grow, brick by brick, into towering, insurmountable walls between you.
One of the absolutely most profound takeaways from our research is this quote right here. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's one of the foundations of emotional intimacy. Healthy couples do not avoid hard conversations. They don't run from the uncomfortable stuff. Instead, they turn toward each other and face those challenges with profound honesty and mutual respect. Opening up about your fears or your bad days, that doesn't make you less of a partner. It makes you a human being that your partner can genuinely connect with on a much, much deeper level.
Let's move on to mistake number 5 and see how this builds on communication. Think about the fundamental difference between just hearing someone and truly listening to them. When your partner comes to you with a problem, are you just hearing them so you can fix it or debate it? It is so common for a partner to vent after a long, hard day, only for the other person to immediately offer up a 10-step action plan or a logical debate about the facts. If every single conversation turns into unwanted advice, your partner might just stop sharing altogether. They don't always need you to be the hero who fixes the problem. Usually they just want to feel understood. Listening with deep patience and empathy, that is the water that nourishes the roots of your relationship way more than having all the right answers.
Section 4. The power of shared growth.
And this brings us to what our source considers perhaps the biggest reason of all. Mistake number 7. Stopping your own personal growth. Shared growth is literally the sunlight for our relationship garden. This means you must continue learning and improving. Set personal goals that excite you and give you a sense of purpose outside the relationship. Take genuine care of your physical and mental health. Actively develop your emotional maturity. A healthy relationship isn't about molding yourself into a completely different person just to please someone else. No, it's about continuing the lifelong journey of becoming the absolute best version of yourself while simultaneously cheering on your partner to do the exact same thing. Growth is what keeps the dynamic alive and exciting. If you stop growing, the relationship simply stagnates.
Section 5. Choosing each other daily.
As we look at how to actually apply these lessons, it's so important to pause and internalize a difficult truth. Sometimes, two good people simply grow in different directions. And you know what? That's okay. I want to reassure you right now. Not every relationship ends because someone made a fatal mistake or because someone was the bad guy. Sometimes goals just no longer align. Sometimes the timing of life is just fundamentally off. The goal of understanding these 7 mistakes isn't to look back and completely drown yourself in self-blame. Not at all. The goal is learning. It's about taking these tools to become a better partner in your future or to actively strengthen the beautiful connection you already have right now.
So, to summarize what we've covered today, building a truly strong relationship requires these fundamental pillars: clear communication, unwavering consistency, deep kindness, and active emotional presence. The absolute strongest relationships in the world are not built by perfect people who never make mistakes. They are built by two beautifully imperfect people who are willing to put in the work. People who continue learning and growing and who make the conscious decision to keep choosing each other every single day, long after the effortless excitement of those early dating days has faded.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to reflect on as you tend to your own relationship garden moving forward. In your opinion, what is the biggest mistake people make that slowly destroys a good relationship? Really think about it. Use these insights to water your garden today. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this vital topic, and keep cultivating that connection.